Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes here and thank you for joining me for today's video, which is finally doing my top 20 favourite songs from the year 2025. I say finally because if you're aware of my channel and the content that I normally drop through the month of January, this would normally be part of that lineup, so it's a little bit overdue and I'm sorry about that. Just the back half of January really snuck up on me. Mix that with the back half of January also being extremely busy for myself. I spoke about in previous videos through January how the first half of that month I was away on holiday, so just those three factors mixing in together, it was just really hard to prepare, record, edit this video, but hopefully it'll be up sooner rather than later. But I don't want to keep this intro going any longer than it needs to be. This video is pretty straightforward, just my top 20 favourite tracks from the year 2025. So without delaying any longer, let's get into it, starting off with my number 20. So starting off my list at my number 20, I have the track Jumper Cables by the band Winona Fighter. Now this being the opening track of their new 2025 album, this was literally my first ever taste of the band. I wasn't aware of any of their music before this album, and like I said, this being the opening track, my first ever taste, and they won me over immediately. This song, and I guess the band in general, for those who don't know, this rough pop punk aesthetic when you're listening to it sonically, you know, it's got the bouncy, catchy pop punk feel to it, but it's also nothing too over polished. It's a little rough around the edges, which I really like in my pop punk music when it's pulled off well, like in this scenario. It's a quick shot of energy. This song leaves an impact, and it's just scraping over 2 minutes in runtime. A lot of the songs on their new album are sort of like that, but it's in and out, punchy, memorable. Really enjoyed this track. At my number 19, I have the song Ordinary by Alex Warren. Now, on paper, this song actually represents a lot of what I don't like in music, especially modern mainstream music. TikTok trending, blueprint structure to a standard acoustic radio hit. And weirdly enough, the first handful of times I heard this song, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was okay, nothing offensively bad, just fine, and you know, nothing special really, but I think we can all admit through 2025 it was very hard to escape this song because it was being played everywhere for a large portion of the year. It was all over radio, it was all over social media, and shit, I have to admit, it grew on me. It's very typical in its writing, and again, it is following a formula that is standard for this kind of music and for shaping up for this type of success. But it's impactful enough with what it's trying to get across, the acoustic building into a ballad with a choir, giving it this larger gospel epic feel as it builds up in the song. Yes, it's very standard, and I'm hating myself that a song this generic and mainstream and everything like that is making this list, but I can't deny it was stuck in my head through 2025, and for that it earned a spot onto this list. A Little Love by the band Biffy Clyro is coming in at my number 18. Now, this band is always a band that I really want to get into, and I really want to enjoy their full-length stuff. However, nothing has really hit the mark for me, because this is a band that definitely can deliver on the bangers. Like, when they're at their peak writing, they can really make a hit, and they have done that in the past, and I think this is another great example of how they can write a hit song. The epic building verses with this brass orchestra coming in through the back, and then this angelic chorus that's impossible to not sing along with while also being a complete earworm. A great way to open their 2025 album, and it's a shame that nothing else off that album got to the heights of this song, because if the rest of this album was that consistent, it definitely would have been one I was coming back to more through 2025, but I'll take their opening song off the album, my number 18, A Little Love by Biffy Clyro. Coming in at my number 17, I have the track Caramel by the band Sleep Token. Now, Sleep Token in general is a band that has never really clicked with me, and I know that's not really a controversial thing to say because they are quite split within the scene community, but Caramel is a song that has always worked for me right away, regardless of whatever I think about the rest of their music. Just a unique, interesting track that doesn't leave me lost or too overwhelmed like a lot of their other music does. Clear, digestible with the rapping through those verses, and really cool tracking going on with the rapping as well, which I really enjoyed. The drums are really, really good, but I feel like the drums are the only consistent highlight from the band in general in my eyes. So again, this song is no different. The song eventually builds into something bigger and more grand and less mellow compared to the first half of the song, but again, it's gradual and it doesn't feel too overwhelming like a lot of their other music can be. I just feel like, you know, listening to the rest of the album, there's so many bells and whistles and things going on, I feel like I'm falling into a fucking fever dream. But this song is cruisy, builds into something more, and as I said, more digestible for myself, and one that I've always enjoyed from Sleep Token. So my number 17 goes to Caramel. So who would have thought in 2025 we were going to get a solo project by Hayley Williams where it was stripped back and sampling the Bloodhound Gang's Bad Touch? Not me, it was not on my bingo card, but here we are with my number 16, Discovery Channel by Hayley Williams. So let's break it down a little bit. I love the simple, stripped back approach to this song. It's very minimal, but I enjoy it for that. It's just a simple strumming pattern on a guitar, pretty much just guitar and vocals the whole way through this song, while having this mellow, brooding vibe to it, which gives it a little bit more of like this raw flair and edge to it, I guess. Even the vocal performance for 80% of this song is keeping it fairly tame and tone, especially compared to what Hayley Williams can do with such a powerful voice. But I like that she stays reserved for majority of this song till it gets to that bridge slash closing chorus. But of course, like I mentioned, the use of Bloodhound Gang's Bad Touch, a nostalgic song for myself, and still a song I honestly love to go back and listen to, and it's one of the most memorable and catchy choruses for a reason, and even hearing it stripped back and slower and, you know, sung with a different sort of tone and vibe, it's still ridiculously catchy. So my number 16, Discovery Channel by Hayley Williams. Coming in at my number 15 is the track Vanish Into You by Lady Gaga. First of all, this is my pick for the most underrated gem off her new 2025 album Mayhem. There's a lot of other songs that I hear a lot of people praising off that album, but I feel like Vanish Into You is sort of getting a little bit overlooked. This song to me is like a mix between Bad Romance and ABBA, and it's a really cool fusion, and hopefully when you listen to the song you can sort of get what I mean when I say Bad Romance meets ABBA. But again, this is a track that you can dance to, but it's also one of my favourite vocal performances from Gaga off this new album. I just feel like this song is a really good balance between, you know, a throwback to what we know Lady Gaga can do from her past and, you know, some of her peak music errors, but then also keeping it modern. She just does a really good balancing act through this song, and I think it's one of the more memorable ones off her new album. So my number 15, Vanish Into You by Lady Gaga. The band Turnstile and their track Never Enough is coming in at my number 14. Now, this song balances so much style-wise while not feeling too overwhelming or feeling like they're doing too much. It's also a great example of what to expect from a band like Turnstile if you've never heard their music before. You've got this gazy synth going on for majority of the song, but then you've got these head-banging choruses, even an awesome guitar bridge that is getting like built back up with the drums as it goes into that final chorus. This song is like an enigma, really. It's like a breezy daydream, but energetic enough to like have a mosh to or do some crowd surfing if you're watching it at a live show. I'm honestly normally not massive on songs having long drawn out openings, or in this case closing or ending to a song, but admittedly it works for this song and especially for this album since both of them are very grand and cinematic feeling. I just feel like this is a song where Turnstile are firing on all cylinders, and it's really addictive to listen to. So my number 14, Never Enough by Turnstile. Coming in at my number 13 is the track City Walls by 21 Pilots. Now, 21 Pilots albums are notorious for opening with certified bangers, and I was so certain that the first single that we got for this album, being The Contract, was going to be the opener, just because it suits that vibe so much. But when we got our first look at the track list, and it was showing a song called City Walls that we hadn't really heard yet by this point, I wasn't too sure, but again, certified banger and a great way to open this album. Feeling like a grand opening to the album, really. It's got these cool instrumentals, cool loops, awesome flow with the rap segments, and then again a powerful and addictive chorus. I also love the Easter eggs that they squeeze into this song, giving shout outs to past projects. Like you've got a shout out and Easter egg to Bandito, which was off their album Trench. You've got an Easter egg to the song Holding On To You, which is a throwback all the way to one of their earlier albums, being Vessel. You can just tell a lot of care and a lot of love went into this song, and they really wanted to show off their new 2025 album Breach with a bang, and they opened it with such a great vibe, being City Walls. So coming in at my number 13, City Walls by 21 Pilots. How Are You Mine by the band Slowly Slowly is coming in at my number 12. Now, I'm going to keep this one real short, because sometimes all you need is a cute, upbeat, feel-good love song, and that's what this track delivers. Like, there's really not much else going on with this song that makes me, have more to say about it other than what I just featured. It's fun, it's catchy, bouncy, and sometimes that's all you really need with the song. As I said, going to keep this one short and sharp, so let's get into my number 11. Coming in at my number 11 is the band 5 Seconds of Summer and their track Number One Obsession. This is one of the more rock-influenced songs off their new 2025 album. I'd say probably just one of their more rock-influenced songs in general, especially in the back half of their discography, since they've sort of changed their sound into a more pop influence. And don't get me wrong, there's still enough of a pop flair in with this song too, enough to provide an infectious groove and something to dance to, I guess. But splicing those 2 points together, I guess you can say it's just a really cool pop rock track. Sucks you in with a fun groove, nice to sing along to, especially through those infectious choruses, and a really nice range of notes from frontman Luke Hemmings. Back in the day, this band started out as a pretty basic pop punk band, and they've grown in this new direction, and I think Luke, with his vocal performances, has definitely grown with that as well. So my number 11, Number One Obsession by the band 5 Seconds of Summer. Breaking over the halfway mark and coming in at my number 10 is the track Meltdown Masquerade by the band Slowly Slowly. Routinely, a lot of my favourite Slowly Slowly tracks are the ones that have a little bit more of a flair of attitude or grit. I'm not sure if those are the best words to use, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm saying. I'll try and think of some previous examples. Songs like Smile Lines off St. Leonard's or Turn Around off Daisy Chain. They're just to name a couple, but off their new 2025 album Forgiving Spree, I feel like Meltdown Masquerade is the best example and addition to that case. This is probably my pick for a song that you could take off this album and inject into any of their previous albums and not feel out of place. This is probably the most consistent feeling Slowly Slowly song that we got off their new album. This song is brooding, maniacal in the best ways, especially if you're listening to the lyrics properly. If anything, I actually wish this song was a little bit heavier or more gritty. The last time I saw this band live, Meltdown Masquerade was in their set list, and the way that they played it there live was a lot heavier. And if the recording that we got on this album was more like that, it honestly probably could have been a little bit higher on today's ranking, but it's still a song that I really love and one of my favourites off the new album. So coming in at my number 10, Meltdown Masquerade by the band Slowly Slowly. The track Funny Face by the band Arm's Length is coming in at my number 9. Now, this is a band that shot onto my radar through 2025 with their new album, and a lot of the reasons why I like this band you can also associate with this song. what can be interpreted as a standard pop punk act with some heavier tones. It's actually so much more than that. This song is executed beautifully, but it's also very tragic if you're breaking it down and actually listening to the lyrics. This band is a perfect balance between pop punk and emo, and I haven't seen it balanced this well in such a long time. But without paying attention, it can be easy to miss the incredible writing because the flow is so catchy and infectious like most pop punk is. But this song is more than just a pop punk song, and Arm's Length are a lot more than just a pop punk band. And like I said, definitely listen to the lyricism. Definitely got that emo vibe in there as well. So coming in at my number 9 is the track Funny Face by the band Arm's Length. Coming in at my number 8 is the track You Should See Me Now by the band Neck Deep. Now, you can pretty much put money on it. Neck Deep releases a new song, 100% I'm going to get around it. They're one of my favourite bands for a reason. Sonically, it's catchy pop punk that you would come to expect from a band like Neck Deep. If I really have to pinpoint it, within their eras of music, it's probably sounding somewhere between something that you would get from their 2024 self-titled album and Old Distortions Are Intentional. But getting into the lyrics, for some reason, it almost shouldn't, but it really hit me personally, sort of with its lyrics and what it's talking about. What I mean by that is, the song is focused on the blood, sweat and tears that the band has put into their careers and, the sacrifice and distance that they've gone and growth that they've had as a band. Now, obviously, I can't relate on that front, but on a smaller scale, I think it's something that you can self-reflect on and see your own trials and tribulations in, and, the point that you are in your life now, and put it to you personally and go, okay, I've come from here to here, and I've gotten through this in my life and gotten through that. So it sort of hit me on that level that I really enjoyed the lyricism in this overall catchy song as well. So that's why it's my number 8, You Should See Me Now by the band Neck Deep. Coming in at my number 7 is the track 26 by Honest Av, or Honest AV, to be honest with you. I don't know how to say his name, so there you go. But typically with this kind of music, it can be very hit and miss with myself, this mumbled emo rock rap kind of vibe or situation going on. This song not only caught my ear sonically though, with its instrumentals and, as I said, that kind of vibe. I actually really dug the writing to this song. Honestly, it's my favourite part of this song, and it oddly hit me on this existential level. Not that the song is solely written in that way, but what I mean is this song covers topics that had me thinking, currently at the time of recording this video, I'm 24. Where is my life at? Where is it going? People I went to school with, they're starting families and at certain points in their career, and you can't help but compare. And as I said, it had me thinking about my life and thinking a little bit more existential compared to what normal music would normally have me doing. But besides that, and the writing that I was really digging and hit me on a different level, it's still really cool, catchy, while also having this mellow sort of feel, and it definitely stood out as a favourite over the year of 2025. Coming in at my number 6 is the track Dance With Your Ghost by the band Grayscale. Now, Grayscale are a band who have funky pop punk that you can groove along to and dance to down to a T, and this is another great example of that. It's groovy, moody, easy to sing along to and, sort of get a vibe going with, while also having more hidden underneath than what you would first expect. This is an emotional song if you let it be, I guess, but to be completely honest, I don't often listen to this song in that light, because again, it's groovy and its style is so fun and infectious, and definitely an addictive song through 2025 for myself. So coming in at my number 6, Dance With Your Ghost by the band Grayscale. Now this is actually something I don't normally do in my top 20s or top 10 videos, but I'm going to do it here because I really do like these songs just about equally. I still give the slight edge to Waterfall, that's why Swerve is my number 5 and Waterfall is my number 4, but both by the same band, Grey Wind, so let's get into it and break it down a little bit more. So late contenders for this list, since I actually heard both of these songs for the first time actually in 2026, even though they are songs from 2025, both throwbacks to like mid 2000s emo era, like think something along the lines of early Paramore. Swerve is the more moody of the two tracks, but still very addictive with its vibe and super catchy. Lyrically, probably my favorite of the two songs as well, and lyrically the more emo of the two as well. But I give the edge to Waterfall, and that's why it's my number 4, because I just feel like it has slightly higher highs, especially with that booming, impactful chorus. Like that chorus feels so grand and almost like cinematic, and definitely very powerful and grand vocals on that chorus as well. So my number 5 is going to go to Swerve, my number 4 is going to Waterfall by the band Grey Wind. So who would have thought a song opening with a fucking banjo was going to be this emotionally charged, but here we are with my number 3, You Ominously End by the band Arm's Length. To me, this is probably the best written song lyrically from 2025. So brutal and heartbreaking, yet creative with its wording and how it's executed with the lyrics. At first listen, you'd probably think, okay, this is a fun, catchy pop punk song, which it definitely is. It has a heavier side to it, and I'm sure you can pick up on that. But it's so much more with the story and writing. It's really is emo to its best, where it's not cringy, it's genuinely emotional, leaves you feeling very bittersweet about what you're hearing, because in the best way I can think to describe it, it's probably beautifully brutal. Going through the lyrics for one of the choruses here, I'm just going to spoken word it. When you tried to take your life, you felt ashamed that you'd survived. It proves you can't do nothing right, like you couldn't even die if you tried. Like, just listen to those lyrics, and me speaking it doesn't do it justice, but it just is a beautifully brutal written song, and it just hits on so many emotions. Everything complements each other with this song, which makes the lyrics, just stand out as a highlight even more. The instrumentals and everything are just so well done. This is like almost a perfect song. Have 2 above it, but no points taken away from You Ominously End by the band Arm's Length. Coming in at my number 2 is the track For You by the band The Devil Wears Prada. Now this is such a badass yet catchy and melodic song. Lyric wise, it's kind of your standard How Much I'll Do For You song. The lyrics definitely are not the selling point to this song, unlike the previous mentioned, but how hard hitting this song is definitely makes up for where it was lacking in the other departments. I love how the chorus is this swinging build up melody till it's paid off when it just belts out, I'll do it for you. This song is definitely one of the most replayed for myself through 2025, and honestly it's going to stay up there for quite a while now. This song I was addicted to through the year. So coming in at my number 2, For You by the band The Devil Wears Prada. And coming in as my favourite song from the year 2025, here I have the track Parachute by Hayley Williams. Not a single weak element to this song at all in my eyes. Beautifully heartbreaking lyrics using a parachute as a metaphor for needing support from someone who you've fallen for. There you go, the connection to the parachute. But lyrically being deeply emotional, which is also reflected in the vocal performance as well, which is super layered. But the song doesn't take the safe route sonically. When it comes to your typical heartbreak tracks, it's grand, but also something that you can dance along to, break down with, and just belt out every line. Like, this is a song that, like, every lyric I need to sing along to. I just feel like I'm missing out if I'm not giving this song my full attention. Like, there's moments where I'm 10 seconds into this song and I'm like, nah, didn't listen to it properly, gotta start again. And each and every time I come back to this song, it just constantly hits for me. And again, it's going to stay on rotation for a very, very long time. So my favourite song from the year 2025, I have Parachute by Hayley Williams. So there we go, guys. Thank you for joining me for my top 20 list of my favorite songs from the year 2025. Hopefully this video hasn't gone for too long. I tried to keep it short and sharp because one, this video was long overdue and I didn't want you guys staying around for a marathon that was supposed to come so much earlier, and then two, these videos normally go long in general, so wanted to try and keep it short and sharp. But let me know your thoughts on my top 20 list, what songs you also enjoyed that showed up on my list, or some ones you thought could have been included, or just drop your favorite songs from 2025 in the comments below just in general. But thank you for joining me again, guys. Again, going to try and keep this intro short and sharp and have you guys out of here. So thank you for joining me, and I'll be back for some more content soon. Peace.